It's time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, joined by two very special people from Quick Hit, Shannon Smith from Two Pointers Podcast, Trevor Everett. Trevor was the moderator for our trivia contest earlier this summer. So if you haven't seen that, then you have something else to watch after Out of Pocket is over. But we have a huge slate in store for you today. Before we get started, news broke right before we went on air that Outta, the former pro wrestler, he's in the bloodline. He has passed away today, which is super, super unfortunate news. We just lost Sika a few weeks ago, and now Otta has passed away. It happened so quick, I didn't get a graphic up, but it's kind of crazy. We'll get to watch SmackDown tonight. Mouth Off with Mike will host the nightcap, but we got some basketball to talk about. We got football to talk about. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. It's time to get out of pocket. It was a talking board before we went on air. Trevor's like, what's my picture going to look like in the video? Trevor, are you pleased with it? Do we need to make another arrangement to do a photo shoot? What are we working with here?
Yeah, man, you had my photo from the Lakers Rockets game last April where my mouth was open. I was like walking half a mile to Toyota Center. Thanks for updating that. Not my favorite photo in the world. I understand why you picked it, but thank you. Thank you. We're happy to be here and got a great slate today. I'm super college basketball in August. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Dude, I didn't expect to talk about college basketball in August because there's a lot of other stuff going on, including the NFL preseason. Last night, the Patriots played the Philadelphia Eagles, and hopefully this isn't a spoiler for Trevor Everett on how this game went. But people are wondering, like, what are the Patriots going to do? And this is a talking point, I swear, every single August when you have these rookie quarterbacks who come in. Maybe they're ready, maybe they're not, to be thrown to the wolves week one. Maybe you have a veteran also on the team that you could potentially start. Jacoby Brissett has made his way around the league, particularly with the Indianapolis Colts, and has proven that he can be a serviceable quarterback when he's on the field. But Drake Maye, obviously a high top first round pick. You want to know what you have in him. Shannon's a UNC fan. Trevor's a Patriots fan. So I was like, who better to ask this question to than to these guys? Shannon, you watched him during his UNC career. Do you think it is smart for the Patriots to start Drake Maye week one?
Well, on my show, I've always said, on my show this week, I've said that I hear the preseason, but I don't listen to it. If we were putting all our stock into the preseason, then CJ Stroud would have not won Offensive Rookie of the Year this past year. The way I see it and the way that I look at it, yeah, Drake Maye had a good game. He played 2 series, if I'm not mistaken, 6 of 11 passing, 75 yards, rushing touchdown. He has some good deep ball play as well. I like the fact that he's doing well in this second game in the preseason, but, it's the preseason. Roger Goodell said himself he doesn't really like the preseason. That's the reason why they're having these inner team practices that they've been having, and they've been talking about that for like the past week. So when we get to week one and we start to go into to the fruition of the season, that's when I'll be a believer. Drake Maye is still a rookie. He's still making his bones. So I can't say anything just yet. I love him. He's a Carolina guy. He's been a mainstay with the Tar Heels, but we in the big leagues now, so we're going to find out what he's made of.
We're going to find out what he's made of. And honestly, I hate the idea of cutting our preseason games. Yes, it's like, who cares about preseason? It's not the moneymaker, but you got to give players the opportunity to earn a spot. Like, these guys are fighting for their jobs. And so, like, as mundane as the preseason can get, I actually enjoy seeing, okay, who actually wants a job. You can also comment while we're live on Out of Pocket via our Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. I mentioned him earlier. Say his name, and he appears. Mouthing Off with Mike will host the nightcap after SmackDown tonight. He's saying Drake Maye season, baby, but also shout out Joe Milton, too. Patriots got some good options at quarterback this year. This is no Tom Brady option at quarterback. Also, shout out Marcus from Four Sides of the Ring. What's going on, fellas? They dropped a really good video earlier. I believe that was yesterday. They dropped it talking about Jade Cargill, WWE or AEW. There were some very big talking points that I am very opinionated on, if you will. Max saying, unless you use UFL like the minors or spring league, I don't know why the NFL isn't using that avenue for the UFL to make it like a minor league baseball. Trevor, you're the Patriots guy. Would you like to see Drake Maye start this year? Would you like to see Joe Milton move up the depth chart? Do you think it's just play it safe and get Jacoby Brissett? You said no pretty quick to Joe Milton.
Move up the depth chart. I'm gonna let him sit where he belongs. I mean, they've got Jacoby Brissett for a reason. Joe Milton's a third string. I'm not going to be as brash and as harsh as Jackson was last week. I mean, I was tough, man. I mean, I don't know what Joe Milton did to him, but like, it's okay, But anyway, it just depends on my thing with playing rookie quarterbacks. It just depends on the situation, guys ahead of them, right? People are gonna point to the extremes. Your Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre, your Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith and learning from him. Drew Brees was ahead of Phillip Rivers. I mean, there's examples. Like, there's plenty of them out there. I think Joe and Steve Montana, am I forgetting one? Or is that why you're rolling your eyes, Shannon? Did I forget one?
It's the narrative. It's the narrative.
But I'm trying to give you legit examples of like, okay, those are all things to call on. However, if you don't have I love Jacoby Brissett, right? An NC State guy. I don't think he's Drew Brees. He's Aaron Rodgers. He's any of those guys. So play Drake Maye. I think rookie season is so valuable now where these guys can go in, especially the way the quarterbacks are protected now. Like, he's a big dude. He's actually a lot bigger than I think people understand. He's built really strong. He's 6'4". I think he's going to end up being, like, by the time he puts some muscle on and takes some hits, I think he'll be like close to 235, 240. Yeah. That was the biggest thing with Daniels at 2 was, between could they take Daniels? Could they take May at 3 or whoever's going to end up being there, obviously, after Washington? And Washington's whole thing was like, you can make the RG3 comparisons all you want, but Daniels got lit up a couple times last year, and he wasn't getting up. This is a Heisman winner we're talking about who rushed for like 800 yards in college at LSU. And so I trust the pocket passer to survive in the NFL today, even more so with the rules. And Drake Maye has that opportunity. And quite frankly, when you have no good receivers around him, whether they get Ayuk or not, that's fine. You need to start building chemistry with guys and see who sticks out. None of those guys may be on the roster next year at receiver, but he at least has a Hunter Henry. I know all these guys were under Mac Jones, but I believe in Drake Maye. That's something that, at the end of the day, I never believed in Mac Jones, and I believe in Drake Maye because I think he's an incredible quarterback. I got to watch him up closely for the last 3 years when he was at North Carolina, albeit State had some really favorable matchups against him and took him down. Don't get me wrong, and those were some good defenses, and he's going to play some good defenses in the NFL. I think he can figure it out. I think it's going to be a slow start, and I'm not getting my expectations up. But if he's not playing great by year 3, like, that's a realistic thing to think that he could struggle with, and I think he'll still be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and especially thinking about, playing in the AFC East, you got the Bills defense, you got the Jets defense. Even Miami's defense isn't, all that bad. So especially with what the Patriots are doing. Shannon, you and I covered Bryce Young last year through our Panthers podcast that we had. Like, Bryce Young got thrown to the wolves, and I don't know if it messed with his psyche. I don't know how he'll bounce back year 2. That's all to remain to be seen. But do you think it was the right decision, seeing Bryce Young struggle so much and then to put Drake Maye in a similar situation where you're like, this team probably isn't winning that division? Sorry, Trevor.
Well, and say to you what I was doing, Trevor, the reason why I was doing that is because of the narrative. That's the narrative that everyone goes by. Let the young man sit behind someone else. But Jacoby Brissett, like you said, is not any of these guys. He's not going to Canton, and that's no disrespect to him. It's just the fact of how he plays and the way these guys are playing. It's
Maybe
not
in the preseason game he'll play in Canton, but yeah.
right, exactly. So I think it's in their best move to start Drake Maye, but starting these young guys, it depends. It depends on where your franchise is going. Now, with New England, I really think the best decision is to start Drake Maye. Even with Carolina, the best decision even last year, regardless of what anybody said, the best move was to start Bryce Young. There was no reason why. The man's the number one pick. You're paying him pick money. He's going to be the future of your franchise. You start him, regardless of what is going on. Now, mind you, he got destroyed last year. He got beat up last year, but. And they talk about, the mental health, the psyche of that. You're absolutely right, because Sam Darnold, he's going to have a chance this year. And if he blows it this year, we all know he ain't nobody. So let's just leave it at that. But it's just that he's still gun shy from what happened with himself with the New York Jets. I'm sorry. He's still gun shy from that. I know that you have quarterbacks that have not survived from being thrown to the wolves, but can we just go ahead and say that those guys were not good enough?
Thank you.
It's the fact that they just ain't good. Just because you got drafted number 2 or number 1 in the draft and you didn't get it right by year 3, dude, you're out of here, man. It's a wrap. Go ahead and be an offensive coordinator somewhere or go coach a small school. It's a wrap for you. You're done.
It's the Daniel Jones argument. It's the how many years until it's how many years. Like it,
right.
And at the end of the day, like people can talk about narratives or whatever. Like it's fine. Like people are going to have what they want to believe in. And ultimately, there's nothing wrong with fan bases like holding on and clinging to these quarterbacks who have young, promising talent. Like I can't sit here and rattle off a list for you, but like I'm sure Broncos fans were excited about Paxton Lynch at one point. They had to have been. I'm just giving you like a random top 10 example. Like he was a top 10 quarterback. I think he was 10th, right? Like exactly 10th or somewhere in the first round quarterback.
I think he was like late, like 27th or something.
Either way,
that.
He's a first round quarterback.
But he did drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So a first round quarterback is my point. Like your Jordan Loves of the world, like those are the guys that work out. Dak being a 4th, 5th round pick, whatever he was. Like my point is there's so many of these guys every year. Can we not remind ourselves that the success rate is less than 60? Like it's less than like what? It's probably 60, 40, 70, 30. Like 30 as in 30% of them succeed.
And that's being generous right there too.
Right. Like your 2021 draft class or whatever it was, all these guys that just got paid, the Tuas, the Jordan Loves, whatever, that's an anomaly. That doesn't happen all the time. Right. 2012, 13, like that's Christian Hackenberg. Like that's the normal years. Okay. Like quarterbacks aren't supposed to succeed, right? Because you have your Tom Brady's, your Ben Roethlisberger's, your Aaron Rodgers. We're playing till they're 38, 40 years old. And you're going to get guys that are successful. And that's why we have the Hall of Fame. Like I'm not, rewriting the history books here. My point is you have to give these guys a chance and not be afraid of the fact that they get, you get their head taken off as a rookie. Like, cool, it's the NFL. Don't be an NFL quarterback. Mac Jones just couldn't handle it because he isn't a good quarterback. Like, it just is what it is. And that's just the truth that he has to live with. And any other quarterback in the last 100 years.
Wow. And let's be honest, guys. Like, once we get into the NFL season and, things start happening, like, it could be one of these situations where you don't start Drake Maye week 1, and then week 5, 6, you see, okay, there is no hope
all the time. Yep,
no hope, and
they hang themselves though for real, because that's happened with a lot of quarterbacks here. They're sitting here saying, "Look, this guy is behind you, and he's next. Well, we're going to give you an opportunity to see what you are." So that happened with Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees. Like they drafted Phillip Rivers that year, and then Drew Brees went off. What did they do? They traded the man. Same with New England. New England had Matt Castle when Tom Brady got hurt.
Jimmy Garoppolo too.
Castle, they knew Tom Brady was the future of the franchise. They knew what he was going to be. And what did they do? They traded that man, and they got value for him and won Super Bowls without him. So this is what we're faced with. This is what we have to understand, is that some of these guys are worth holding on to and some of them are not.
One last thing, because I know we're way over on the quarterback part of it, but like situation's super important. It just really is. And that's the argument for Bryce Young, as much as I don't think he was the better quarterback coming into the draft against CJ Stroud last year. Situation's important. CJ Stroud walks into a team that I don't think anybody thought they were a playoff team, but he elevated them to be a playoff team, even though they were kind of looking back on that roster. Yeah, they were probably a fringe playoff team. Obviously, seeing what we know now. The other thing to think about too is like you think Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels. They're all going to different situations. Like they're all completely opposite situations where Washington's still kind of figuring it out. New England's at as rock bottom as they've been since Robert Kraft bought the team, and then with Williams, they intentionally put everything they could around Williams. I know Hard Knocks kind of elevates that, right? I think episode two just came out on Tuesday, right? But it's a really good show because you really get to see like they gave DJ Moore the contract 2 years before he technically was eligible for it. Like they basically just said, we want to lock this dude. It was one of the best moments of that first episode. They said, we're going to lock DJ Moore. DJ Moore's not a top, I don't know. He's probably a top 15 receiver, right? I'm just being generous. I'm throwing out a number, right? I don't follow this stuff on a day-to-day basis like a lot of people do. He's a great receiver. He's in the top tier of receivers is my point. And they paid him and they said, we're taking care of this guy and he literally, I mean, it was like a weight lifted off of his shoulder. It was like, okay, I can go out there and I can he had 1,300 yards last year with a terrible quarterback.
Quarterbacks between two quarterbacks who as well.
Right. And so
the guy
1,300 with Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Coming like I'm in. Like I'm
easy.
good, right?
Well, they got to divvy it up now because they got Rome Odunze. They got Keenan Allen as your wide receiver 3. They got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. I'm really high on Chicago.
Hey, throw some love for Cole Kmet out there. All right, I know he's going to have like 5 targets for the year probably because of that. But hey, Cole Kmet's a good tight end. He just hasn't had the quarterback opportunity.
He was going to get 5 targets.
Really
he was going to get 5 targets this year, but just because of Trevor's shout out, I think he's going to get 6. I
really wanted the Patriots to go out and get him, but he's a Chicago kid. They're not getting rid of him.
No shot.
Anyway.
No shot. Now, I did want to bring y'all on, and Trevor kind of alluded it to switching topics. A hard left into the NBA, but it's August, right? I had to like throw up an NBA store shirt because
that's such a sick shirt. Hey, I should have got that while I was there. It's such a sick shirt.
It's pretty nice. Didn't get to go. Actually got thrift. But it's still good. It works because the NBA schedule got released this week. And guys, this is a thought I had, being so into football right now. Like NFL schedule comes around and you're like dissecting it. It's like, okay, I can tell you what a team's record's going to be. I'm going to tell you, hey, we got screwed here because we got 3 road games back to back to back. Who are we playing in December? Who are we playing week 1? It's so intensive in terms of analyzing the NFL schedule. The NBA schedule release has a different vibe to it. It's like, okay, who opens? Okay, well, we're still in the thick of football season. Okay, who plays Christmas Day? And beyond that, I don't necessarily know what makes the NBA schedule so special beyond opening night and Christmas Day. If it does. So I was like, if there's anybody who has a strong opinion about the NBA schedule release, it would be Trevor Everett. So, Trevor, do you have hope? Do you want to play devil's advocate, or
can we move on to college basketball? I mean, this is literally like when you brought this topic up, I was like, you put 10 minutes next to it in the docket, and I almost changed it.
Why we took so much time talking football? That's the reason why.
That's fair. Yeah, no, like I mouthed nothing when you said orange and blue skies. Knicks fan, I guess, right? Yeah. So hey, you got Jalen Brunson, hold on to him, right? So. No, to your point, yeah, number of games too much. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, we can all say the same things in a circle. When you ask, like, is there anything about it? I mouthed nothing because I'm like, I care about Christmas Day. I care about opening day because I have a podcast segment I do every year called "It's Just 1 Week," but it's just a bunch of overreactions. What can we overreact to? Right? It's just 1 week, but and then it's just a really fun look back, and all of those are always terrible every year. And the Christmas Day is great because you get to see, like, all right, when's Victor going to play? Is it going to be 7? Is it going to be not 10:30? Is it going to be noon? Whatever, right? You get to see this NBA Christmas schedule, and then you get to see some of those. I pay attention to some of those, like, late March, early April, where the season actually does kind of matter a little bit because they do the in-season tournament thing and, like, break out the brackets, like, whatever it is, what it is. Once those games come out, that's once they start playing them, that's when it kind of gets important. Honestly, the best thing I look forward to is the Orlando Magic TikTok account posting videos on how their schedule comes out, and it's always meme galore, and it's always a great time. So,
hey, social media team accounts are pretty good.
Oh,
the Magic specifically need a special shout out.
They do.
This is what I look for. When is Miami going to be in Charlotte?
Yep.
That is what I look for.
I look for like birthday too. Like I got to see Jokic play on my birthday 2 years ago in Charlotte. It was a heck of a game. It was LaMelo was actually healthy, so that was really cool. Got to see how bad of a defender he really is in person. Sorry, Charlotte Hornet fans, but I got to see Jokic, and like it. I tell the story. I probably told the story on this podcast before. I've probably told Michael the story before on the phone. But like Jokic made a pass that I've never seen someone do in 26 years. Like I got to see that in person in a regular season game on a Saturday night because it was in Charlotte. Like he literally threw a ball like over his I won't tell the story again. I'll find the clip, but like he threw the ball over his opposite shoulder with the other hand. Like I've never from the corner. It was like a 45-foot pass. I've never seen anything like it. And the guy made the 3 in the corner for what it's worth.
And Dad's saying he's a Mavs guy. He's Dallas all the way through. We just released our Dad and the Boys episode earlier today. There were some notable matchups. I know Klay Thompson will make his Mavs debut with Luka Doncic on October 24th. Against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. So Mavs Spurs pretty much kicking off the Dallas season. That's one you got to look out for. Shannon, what do you make of the NBA schedule release? And yeah, I'll cut the minutes allotted to this segment if you want.
Talk to me after the All-Star break.
Oh, okay.
That's about all I got, man. I mean, it's kind of like how the baseball schedule is as we speak, even though baseball has had a really, really good race right now. After the All-Star,
I believe you.
It's been nuts. So,
you.
guys have been popping up all over the place in the MLB, and this has been a good race. But talk to me after the All-Star break with the NBA. That's usually when we start getting a playoff picture. We start seeing who's going to be doing what. This in-season tournament, to be honest with you, I'm not really looking forward to it. It's just more basketball on TV. It's basically what it is. Not saying that I don't like basketball, because I like basketball with a side of basketball. I'm a basketball guy. I enjoy it. I love watching basketball. But sometimes you just look at some of these matchups and you're like, no thanks.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm glad that there's people out there like Shannon, because I just like when the season schedule comes out, I look at it, but I already know I'm watching like Wizards Hawks on a Tuesday. Like I already know I'm doing that.
Yeah, you got your game to watch. I mean, I'm not saying I watch all the games, but I watch enough of them. If there's a good slate of games on, yeah, I'm gonna watch that mid game around maybe 3:00, and then watch the late game as much as I can, because my age, I fall asleep. But it's one of those things where if I know who's playing and it's gonna be something I want to see or a player I want to see, I'm gonna watch it. But not all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Tar Heels part is not true as much. I know Marcus said, is Marcus local to the area? You can go see Tar Heel games pretty cheap, actually. I'm just defending them because, like, you actually can. The Dean Dome is not as expensive as people think it is.
No.
I'm genuinely defending them on that. Duke, however, yeah, you have to sell. Like, I literally saw a sperm donor ad the other day that was like a fake Blue Devils ticket. I have a screenshot of it. I'll try to find it again and send it to you, Michael. It's really funny. It's actually hilarious. It's like, oh, you going to those Duke? Are you going to that Duke game next week? It's like, no, I am. Oh yeah, you too. How'd you afford it? You're like, oh, I donated whatever. Yeah, it was very weird. It was an Instagram ad that I had to tell it to stop popping up.
So this is funny because like I've been to 2 Duke games, and one of them was like this random school from South Carolina. Can't even remember the name of. Oh, South Carolina Upstate.
Upstate.
It's Upstate. Yeah, South Carolina Upstate.
I think they play this. I think they might play them again this year. I don't know. Their schedule just came out.
Yeah, their schedule came out. And then the second time,
other than Arizona, it's terrible.
I mean, it's usually like that. The warm up games. We got Wofford in there.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
we got some pretty good games on that Duke schedule though. The Knicks got 36
Knox. I love it. The Knox. Hey, I was like, that's fun. I like that.
He auto-corrected. 36 TV games this year. That's another thing fans can look forward to. Also, I just looked up your favorite team being in the area, Charlotte. hosts Miami October 26th, which is the second game of the year I probably won't get to go to. And then like the day before Thanksgiving, that Wednesday. And Dad can't afford the money game. So it's South Carolina upstate. That was fun. Getting to watch Duke for the first time. Never thought I'd be able to go Cameron Indoor, and that was a great memory.
My
But
first and probably last game at Cameron Indoor was my very first ever credential as a media member. So I still will never forget it to this day. I was like a child in at Disneyland for the first time, and I'm not even a Duke fan. I just was like, this is history. This is basketball heaven. I mean, it is what it is. And I, shout out to, I won't tell that story because I don't get in trouble, but shout out to me getting that pass because that was the 4-28 Louisville year. That was Kenny Payne's 4-win Louisville year. And so like every single seat was filled. I've never seen anything like it. It was like a Tuesday night. I've never seen anything like it. And Cameron Indoor is incredible. I hope to get back. They've changed ticket people, so we'll see what happens.
I honestly like stepping in there. If you've never been to Cameron Indoor, and Trevor's not even a Duke fan, like you walk in and it feels like a dream. Like it feels like a fever pitch dream, and then you leave and you're like, "Did I actually experience that?" Like
that's 100% how I felt. Like, without a doubt.
I've been to Cam. Wasn't excited.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a joke.
Look, I understand people feeling that way, but like I can't think of another like because of professional sports and how hard it's how I would imagine Death Valley, Alabama Saturday night. Like it's exactly how I imagine if I walked into Death Valley versus Alabama on a Saturday night, 8 p.m. kickoff, and I walked in there, 100,000 people. It's like I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Like that's exactly what I envisioned it to be. And I'm glad the expectations lived up to what they were.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I hate to say it, but it is probably one of the top places I've ever been to, like a sports venue, period. I would have to say, and I almost lost my life because I was a Carolina fan that night. So,
that's right. I have heard that story.
You've been to the big game, huh?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
See, that's on the list. It's on the list.
It was pure luck. It was pure friggin' luck. Someone was scalping their tickets, and I got him. And the dude didn't even know what he had. Like he didn't know the tickets that he had. Scalped the tickets, sold them to me for $30.
You didn't tell me $30.
$30. 30 daggone bucks at a Cameron Indoor game. You've got to be kidding me. I can't believe it, man. I thought I was gonna die. Like, and that was the year with Hansborough and them. That was the year with Hansborough and them. I about died going in.
Right. You ruined it bringing up Hansborough, but I can't imagine.
No, that makes it better. What?
I mean, no.
That was like the best time for the rivalry ever.
If I would have died that game, and y'all would have never. But I would have been cool. I've been fine.
Okay,
fine. I could die.
I would say
that wasn't the blood game, was it? The Hansborough blood game.
It was the blood game. It was the blood game.
I might put that on my tombstone if I was you.
That was the year that.
Kidding me?
Title. That was the year Carolina won the national championship.
It was 2009. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No,
national title.
That's wild. Anyway, sorry, I got a sidetrack. There's your college basketball transition for you, Mike.
I mean, we've only had the graphic on the bottom of the screen for like 5 minutes. Because I was like, you know what? Like Trevor just trashed this Duke schedule. I'm going to bring up Duke and Kentucky. They're playing on a neutral site.
All of these weird. I'm talking about home and away. Like the Arizona thing, I applaud them for doing. No, I really do. I applaud them for doing the Arizona home away thing. Last year, the Arizona home away thing. This is the return trip out to, I think it's Tucson, whatever town that it's in, whatever town Arizona's in. I can't remember. I get it all mixed up. But the fact that it was the second game of the year, that shows you Shire's not afraid to schedule those things. Obviously, neither is Tommy Lloyd. I think this year's game is not like the second game of the year. It's a little bit further. Like I think it's like 4 or 5 games in, and it gives teams time to actually beat up on bad teams. Sorry, but it's just interesting. Last year, I really was surprised that Arizona came to Cameron. Like I just was. Like that doesn't happen anymore in their early part of the schedule. So anyway,
yeah.
Well, it's like the 90s anymore. Yeah, I mean they did that in the 90s. They'll never do that again.
Yeah, we like cupcakes. You just gotta get into the tournament and you gotta perform well in conference play. That's how you get good seeds up in March Madness. Could Kentucky continue the top seeds in March Madness? They're transitioning from John Calipari to Mark Pope as the new head coach. And did want to bring up, they just secured a 4-star recruit, Marino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm thinking of Noshawn Marino every time I think of it. Malachi Marino, 4-star center recruit, and was actually the number 1 center in this class. So I got to ask, like, we've seen so many big stars come from Kentucky. I mean, could you start naming them, like Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Carl Anthony Towns, John Wall? Like, the list goes on and on and on. And I would do a disservice for talking 5 minutes and I would forget like 10 names. Like, it is that long of a list in terms of NBA prospects who have went to Kentucky and either played a year, played 2, and thrived. Do you think we see that same sort of turnout for the Kentucky program in this new era without John Calipari, Shannon?
In this case right here, because Pope he's an alum, and sometimes you got to be careful with alums. He's invested in this school. I still think that regardless of Kentucky being one of the blue bloods in college basketball, I still think that he will be fine, considering the fact that the namesake is going to still be there no matter who is coaching. I know that is not always the case with every Kentucky basketball coach, but 9 times out of 10, it is. So I will have to see what Pope does. I'm not going to say it yet because this is the first full year, and I hate being that type of dude. I really do. But I want to see how he does recruiting-wise, because we saw how Tubby was. As soon as gave the team to Tubby wins the title, and then after that, Tubby don't do nothing after that. So then we have Calipari.
Calipari won there you go. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, I cut you off. I should have said it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Wins the title, and then it just everything spiraled for 10 years.
Exactly. So there you have it. I mean, for real. So you have that going on. So it's still up in the air for me. I don't want to say anything yet, but the Kentucky's namesake is what's going to do it, and that's what it is.
I'm going to give Mark Pope some credit for a second, because the question at the bottom should not. And by the way, I agree, it is Kentucky's namesake. Like, that is Josh Burton's whole argument. Whenever I'm defending him too, because that's my guy. But also, like, Kentucky is Kentucky. Kentucky is North Carolina. Kentucky is Kansas. Kentucky is Duke. Kentucky is the Yankees. Kentucky is the Lakers. Kentucky is, I could go on forever. My point is, the question at the bottom of the screen shouldn't be, can they still recruit without Calipari? They've already done that. They just haven't done it from the freshman part of it, Michael. They have the fifth highest, transfer ranking according to 24/7 Sports. They have 8 4-star commits and 1 3-star. So you have 9 commits coming in from the transfer portal, only behind St. John's, Kansas, Indiana. Shout out to Mike Woodson. And if this team sucks, Mike Woodson's gone. Like, they will kick him out with 2 feet if they don't win this year. Are you kidding me? I've been holding that in. I've been holding that in so bad because we, ECB, we have this great following with the Indiana folk because that's where the guys are from. And the Facebook group, but Indiana fans, I have to walk on eggshells around these folks. And then Arkansas, of course, right now, number 1 transfer portal ranking class. And then, of course, Calipari, we know he can still recruit. He got the number 1 point guard of 2024, I think, is coming in this year to play. And so Kentucky is the 5th best transfer portal ranking. So the question should be, can they sustainably continue that for years to come? And that's where I'm going to give Mark Pope some credit, because he got talent out to BYU and they won at BYU. That he's an incredible coach. Obviously, the returning guy thing is just, we've seen it's the same as the quarterback. Let's bring it full circle here, right? You can give me all the examples of guys that are former alumni that were terrible. You can give me all the ones that were. And I'm cool with either one, because let's just not judge Mark Pope in 1 year. And I don't think anybody here's doing that. But at the end of the day, Kentucky and the brand and the ability and the financial backing that institution has. I mean, we saw TBT, Louisville and Kentucky, like 13,000 people showed up to a TBT game at Freedom Hall. Y'all saw that, right? Like 13,000 people. As much as we love North Carolina and Duke, I still think it's the number 1 rivalry. I still think North Carolina is the best basketball state. I'll fight anybody on that in any state. But Kentucky, it's darn close. 13,000 people showed up to a TBT game to watch Peyton Siva and Montrezl Harrell for Louisville play against the Harrison twins and whoever the heck else and Millie Cauley-Stein hitting threes like in July. Like, these people are psychos. Like, this is a real thing. And guess what? No matter how that team's doing for a couple of weeks at the beginning, I think they're going to be fine. That place, Rupp Arena, is going to be a madhouse. It's the change of scenery. It's the fact that Mark Pope brought in talent. What scares me a little bit is with the transfer portal, this is going to happen. But there were some of his top guys from BYU that didn't come with him. They went to other places. His best center last year, who was in and out with injuries, Ali Khalifa, formerly of Charlotte, was at BYU. He's an incredible passer as a big. He went to Louisville. So there's already starting to be some crosstown. They're going to play each other, obviously. So there's some interesting things brewing. I cut myself short on purpose. I know I went long, but I could have went on forever on this. But I'm so glad college basketball is back. I'm in the trenches right now preparing for a big project that I won't talk about right now. But man, college basketball is here, baby. I'm so excited.
And that's concerning, though. Why wouldn't those guys come with Mark Pope?
It's opportunity. Okay. It wasn't anything about why didn't that guy come? I just used him as an example. They got Jackson Robinson, Lamont Butler, Kobe Brea from Dayton, Andrew Carr of Wake Forest. I'm really sad about that. Wake Forest unfortunately couldn't keep him around, but when you get a chance to play at Kentucky, again, you get to go. Kirk Kriisa, Otega Owe, Ansley Alomar, Amari Williams, a guy I got to see last year for Drexel, who was an incredible player in the CAA, Brandon Garrison of Oklahoma State, and that outgoing transfers, they had a ton of guys as well, of course. So it's just interesting to see, they brought in talent. Whether that talent meshes that quickly, there's only a certain amount of guys that know how to do that right now. Is Pope one of them? That's what we got to find out.
And you got the power of the purse in Kentucky, which is another thing that works out perfectly. So that's going to really draw some of these small guys who have the talent to play in a bigger school with a bigger state. Kentucky's going to look at one of those guys and say, hey, you want to play big-time basketball? And Kentucky is big-time basketball regardless of where you're at. There are spots in Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky that you cannot say Christian Laettner without somebody almost killing you. And that's coming from my man, Mr. D, who's a big Duke fan, married to a Kentucky fan. How he lives in that house, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, he told me this. There was times where he had to hold his coat. When he would go somewhere, if he was wearing a Duke shirt, he had to hold his coat. There's no way he could have gotten anywhere.
To your point about the small major guys, it's an incredible point, and that's just where the transfer portal is now. And whether you love it or whether you hate it, the small market teams are still going to find talent, right? I got to watch last year a guy that now playing for Tommy Lloyd in Arizona and Anthony Del Orsa for Campbell. I got to watch him 16 games last year. He was a 21 point per game scorer, one of the best scorers in the country. Chris Clemens played for Campbell. I'm just giving you local examples to me, but these guys transfer and go to good places. They go to places where they're eventually going to have the opportunity now with the way we live in the transfer portal. You mentioned small major guys, Shannon. Ansley Alamanor, I can never get his name right, but he was an incredible player at FDU. Fairleigh Dickinson, by the way, 2 years removed from their tournament run and beating Purdue. He transferred to Kentucky. He's a 3-star transfer. They also had, and I wouldn't call some of these places small. I would call Fairleigh Dickinson small. That's a incredibly small school. Amari Williams was I'm going to repeat this, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in the CAA. I've never seen somebody so athletic. He's like a tight end. It's unreal. I've never seen anything like it. He has to figure out health issues, but the passing is incredible. The defense at 6'10". He's from Drexel. Drexel's not a huge school. They're a mid-major. They're a CAA school. And then another one, Kobe Brea from Dayton, another guy I got to see last year. He's the best shooter in the country. I will stand on that. I will stand on business. 49% from three. 49% from three. Are you kidding me? He was the reason that Dayton almost beat Houston in the Charleston Classic last year, and I was in town for that. That was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I was like, what is happening? I underestimated Dayton, and Kobe Brea is a huge reason for that, and he's going to be one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter, on this roster, and that tells you how good it is.
And he's going to
stand on business.
I'm serious.
He's going to get looked at too, considering the fact, and I hate that because Dayton's a good basketball school. On top of that too, Dayton has been that 7-10 for me for many years in the NCAA tournament brackets. So they can play some basketball, but now he's going to really get looked at now that he's got a bigger crowd and a bigger pool of fans to see him.
Man, and it's going to be interesting to see, because man, we're almost there. I love baseball. Wrestling has content literally year round, every night of the week. But we're so close. We got football. We're in preseason mode. We're about to kick off the regular season next month, and we got NFL. We got college football. Then you get into the MLB playoffs, and then the NBA season, and the college basketball season starts. This is why. Anytime people ask me what my favorite season is, it's fall. and it's not even close. Like, I used to work at summer camp, enjoyed my time there. I love the spring just because it's a little bit warmer. Winter, I get to wear some hoodies a little bit, but man, fall is like the number one thing because it has everything. It has everything, and it's really nice. So it's been a fantastic time on Out of Pocket. Thanks for staying with us a little bit longer. If you guys want to see that project that Trevor alluded to, you'll want to subscribe.
He fixed his camera.
What? I was gonna do something before you closed up. I switched cameras. What? I'm just trying to have high production value around here, baby. Like, that's all it is.
Screw him off now.
All right, I'll just do this now since I was not out of pocket the other day when the Olympic, gold medal winning USA basketball team put their foot in the world's butt.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the U.S. I'm just showing these USA shoes. I might have done this already. These Kobe's, right? Steph did not go full Mamba. Let's be real for a second, because he did his version of it, right? Kobe obviously had that crazy finish in 2008, but Steph, shout out to Steph. I wasn't on here for that show, so I just wanted to, give the U.S. a huge shout out, talking about the dog day and where it came from, the dog days of summer that you were alluding to. The Olympics got us through that, and I'm really glad the basketball is where it is in the world, where that was actually a competitive game. That was actually a competitive run to the gold, and like, they have to always do the gold medal game like that, or the bronze medal game, excuse me, because like Serbia showed up drunk, and it was the funniest thing ever watching them like come show up after the gold medal game. And like Jokic had a couple times where like, if someone like ran into him too hard, I think he might have vomited. And so they need to figure out a way to always have that be the case. Let Serbia go party for the bronze medal, because it was really funny and I enjoyed it. But shout out to the U.S. We're the best country in the world. God bless America. God bless the USA basketball team.
What, dude? You got me too. I was promoting you, hyping you up.
You want to go back?
No, I mean,
I'm going to do this every time now, because you clearly just give me a reason to. It's great. I mean,
it's almost like where you threw up like the peace sign, and you throw up the hearts, and see how do you do this?
Friday, baby. It's Friday on Out of Pocket. I'm having a great time.
It's Friday on Out of Pocket. I'm having a blast. You always have a blast when you're with Trevor Everett from Two Pointers Podcast, Shane Smith, Podcast Smitty from Quick Hits.
I'm so mad I don't have a cool name like that. That's so dope. I've told him that for years. I'm like, it's the dopest name ever, and I'm so mad about it. It makes me mad every time I see it.
Well, you'll
use it now, and I have my own show, because I was doing it for a minute and everybody's sitting there like, man, this dude's a fake. Where your show at? Now I got one.
Quick hits, baby. Quick hits.
If you haven't, he's doing fantastic work. I don't know how much time he spends editing and filming and brainstorming what he's doing. But he is going above and beyond, and I appreciate you. I appreciate Marcus from Four Sides of the Ring. Dope show. I think that's a 1. We're holding our ones up today, especially after the news earlier this afternoon before we went on. Outta passing away from the bloodline. Not good news. But we'll watch SmackDown. Mouth off with Mike, who was commenting earlier saying Drake Maye season, baby. He'll be hosting the nightcap, and maybe then I won't be a ghost. So. For Michael Davis, Shane Smith, and Trevor Everett, this has been Out of Pocket on Boom Broadcasting, and we will be back on Monday exclusive to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. Can't wait to see you here.